Hola from Raquel
and Ricky.
Recently, we've had several viewers ask us the same question over and over. What side of Puerto Morelos is better? La Colonia?
Or the Portside?
So, in today's video, we want to explore both sides of Puerto Morelos, and in our responses, we always try to show the best of both sides. I think everywhere is pros and cons, and there's amazing things about both sides of Puerto Morelos. But in total honesty, we've never rented on the port side.
So we're fortunate to have a good friend called John who has lived in La Colonia for 1 year and he's currently living on the port side.
He's a super nice guy, and I just think it'll be interesting to get some insights from somebody who's lived on both sides. And before we get into the nitty-gritty of this video, I'm going to ask you to please take 1 second and give this video a thumbs up. It helps the channel and it helps the video perform well, and we really appreciate it.
And please consider subscribing to our channel.
Gracias. In this Google satellite image, there's a large proportion of green separating La Colonia from the port side, and this is the beautiful mangrove in Puerto Morelos. Here you can also see Highway 307 separating La Colonia from the other side of Puerto Morelos, but there is an underpass, so driving is easy. And the mangrove is a protected area, and it's extremely important as it acts as a buffer against erosion and storm surge. The road connecting La Colonia to the port side is approximately 2 kilometers in length. And the mangrove on either side of this road is a mixture of salt and fresh water. Spending a beautiful afternoon down here on the beach, Puerto Morelos, and I'd like to introduce John, our friend and our previous neighbor, super nice guy. Thank you, John, for agreeing to be in this video and share your experiences with us.
More than happy to be here. Thank you.
So John has had the privilege of living in both La Colonia and on the port side, and we've had a lot of viewers asking questions, what side's better? So John's going to hopefully shed a bit of light on that, give his opinion, and we're going to start off with the first question, which was from one of our viewers: while living in La Colonia, did you feel separated from the beach community?
Yeah, and I definitely didn't. I was coming down to the beach at least 5 times a week from the Colonia, had friends down here, friends up there, all good.
All one town?
All one town, 100%.
Because people say with the road, with the mangrove, it's very chopped up.
I'll say this, since I moved down here, I feel separated from the Colonia.
Oh, do you?
But when I lived in the Colonia, I did not feel separated from the beach.
Yeah, interesting. You miss your good neighbors.
I do miss my good neighbors. I really do.
So banks, groceries, doctors, laundry. Do you notice a difference living port side to Colonia side in amenities, John?
Alright, so with the supermarket down by the beach, much more gringo friendly. So if you want those name brands from back home and things that you were used to eating back home, whatever, the supply is here. The other side of it is up by the Colonia, household goods, things like that, things you might need to make a home are going to be found much more in supply up there.
And do you think it's more expensive on this side in the grocery store?
The grocery store is a little pricey. In fact, it's actually pricier than the Oxos and whatnot. I think because it's one-stop shopping, I think they know that they have the people that are coming in, especially the tourists, and they can charge more money for things like suntan lotion and stuff that I would expect to pay less in a supermarket back home than I would in a convenience store. But here, the convenience stores are actually a better value.
And then you mentioned earlier about the bank machines.
I did. It's easier for me to get cash in the Colonia than it is down here, and the machines down here are hit and miss, and the supermarket machines, yeah, sometimes they just run out of money because those are the machines that everyone uses, me included, and the ones in the street I don't necessarily trust because I've heard bad things about them. I've heard anecdotally that machine may mirror my card or something that I don't want to be involved with.
We're careful about them too.
Yeah,
Okay, so the next aspect of differences we're going to speak about is restaurants. And what do you think, John? Is there a big difference in the restaurants, Portside versus Colonia? You're on the spot here.
Yeah, is there a big difference? I would say yes. There's a lot more restaurants down here. I think the restaurants down here are definitely a little bit higher end, catering more, and even the smaller, lower end places have their own unique qualities and are fancy in their own unique ways. I love the food down here, but I love the food in the Colonia too. There's restaurants in the Colonia that I miss, and it's a little less expensive in the Colonia. I live in Puerto Morelos because the food is good everywhere.
It is. It's true.
Yeah,
it's just different, right?
It is a little different. And I've been living down here 4 months now. I'm starting to run out of places to go to. I'm looking forward to going back into the Colonia and going to the places that I miss up there. I miss Las Coras. I miss Escochin. These are places I would go to all the time.
Looks beautiful.
This is live. So I did a full year in the Colonia. Very happy to do that, and I had the opportunity to move down last January, or this January. So I've been on the Portside since January.
Awesome. Okay, so what about between the two sides, the energy or the vibe? Do you feel like there's something different happening in the two areas, John?
It is definitely two different areas, right? So I don't have a prepared answer for this. This is a tough question. Yeah, down here it's definitely more touristy. There's definitely more of that vibe, and then especially on the weekend, which is when we're filming this right now, a lot of cars, a lot of locals or Mexicans coming down. The streets are filled with cars, and
Yeah,
the
we
beach
can
is
barely
filling
get
up.
parked.
Yeah, so it's definitely a different feel. You never see that in the Colonia, where I could be more of a homebody in the Colonia. I can't really be a homebody here. Like I don't have the same experience. I don't have the same house.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely a different experience in that way.
And do you have a favorite? Or is that a bad question to ask?
It's not a bad question to ask. That is a work in progress question. You know, we talk about it. You definitely recommend renting for a year. I'm looking at renting for 2 years and determining what I think the value is. Colonia versus beachside is something I'm looking at, and I haven't decided how I feel about it. And again, that comes down to like a money issue. Do I want to spend twice as much to live on the beach versus having a really nice, comfortable life on the Colonia side?
Yeah.
And I haven't decided yet. And then I'm looking forward to being here for the rest of the year and learning more about it.
Because there's pros and cons to everywhere. We talk about that all the time. And yeah, we're also in the same position, sort of figuring that out. But it's 5 minutes from one side to the other.
That's
you definitely
correct.
get more bang for your buck.
Absolutely. So right.
On the Colonia side.
Right, and that 5 minute difference is a lot when you're living here, and I can walk out my door and walk 200 meters with a Tommy Bahama chair on my back, plop down right on the water, and spend the day with a 6-pack of beer that cost me maybe 80 pesos.
Yeah.
So it is a different vibe in that respect.
Yes. Okay, John, let's be real.
Okay.
Is it all about the money? Is that the difference where you choose to live?
Money's going to play a big part. I think money plays a big part in choosing to move down to Mexico in the first place, and then deciding where you want to live and how much you want to spend is going to be an issue. There's no doubt that Portside is more expensive than the Colonia. My rent went up about 50%, and there's things that I do to offset that rent, trying to keep my budget about the same when I lived in the Colonia. So I'm not sitting at Don Ernesto's every day like I used to when I lived in the Colonia. I come down here 3 times a week, maybe instead of 5 or 6 like I used to, and that starts to offset my bills. The fact that I'm not taking a cab 5 times a week offsets my bills a little bit. So there's workarounds, but it's more expensive. There's just no 2 ways about it.
Yeah. And for us, like, we only go to the beach once to twice a week, would you say, Ricky?
Yeah, probably.
So it's not as big. Like, would you call yourself maybe a beach bum?
I would call myself maybe a beach bum.
Yeah.
And take that complimentary, because there's other things that people could call me and probably do.
John, I just mean you love the beach.
I love the beach.
You love being on the beach every day. We love the beach, but once or twice a week's maybe okay for us.
Right, so moving down here, I'm on the beach 7 days a week.
Good for you.
A rainy day, I walk the beach and then go back home. I'm on the beach every day.
Nice. Yeah. So you loved La Colonia. I'm not putting words in your mouth.
No, 100%. Yeah, that's accurate.
But it's handy for you, because I remember you said about the sunrise, like, you're not really going to drink your morning coffee and rush over to the port side. I know people do,
right.
But when you live here, it's just so much more handy, right?
Absolutely.
That you're here.
No, I'm here and it's nice.
Have you made the sunrise?
My attempts at the sunrise are usually on like the cloudiest days.
Aww.
Like, I gave it a shot and that didn't work. Well, then we'll try it again next month.
I love your honesty. If you had advice to give to anybody watching this, John, and they're undecided which side's better, what would you say to them?
My advice to anyone would be to come down and live it for yourself and figure out what's more important to you and how you weigh it out. Money is definitely an issue. What's important to you? For me, I want to be on the beach 5 days a week, and I'm still thinking seriously, if I decide to buy in town, am I going to buy in the Colonia? So it's a personal decision.
Mm-hmm. I think that's wise advice. Okay, so the next it's happy hour here at Dawn's. And John is going to look at this cute little drink he has. It's looking quite swish.
Two fisted drinking
here. And what is that you're drinking, John?
This is the Maestro Añejo tequila. It is my favorite sipping tequila. Lovely beverage here at happy hour when I get the doble in this pretty glass.
You have a hard life, John.
I do have a very hard life, and I'm happy to be on video so people can show me sympathy in their comments.
And I've just ordered this. Look at how pretty that is.